Welcome to Handi Quilter Watch and Learn. Today we're going to share 8 tips on how to be a efficient quilter. I'm Kim Sandberg, and with me today is
Kristina Whitney.
And we are really excited to share today some of our favorite tips for just being a more, like I said, lazy / efficient. What were some of the other phrases we were coming up with?
I always say, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, exactly. Just some ways, some little things that make your quilting go a little faster. So let's go ahead and jump in.
Okay, so the reason that we were even thinking about this is because here at Handi Quilter, we have 2 employees that are having twins.
And not to get like 2 sets
Separate.
of twins.
4 babies.
4 babies, 2 girls and 2 boys.
And generally we like to make baby quilts for newborns at the company, but 4 baby quilts within like a month. So we decided that we were going to be a little bit more efficient with our time. So Kim, tell us what you did, because you made the baby quilt tops for the girls.
So these are for the girls. I wanted to do 2 quilt tops that were a little bit different, but I wanted to make the quilting efficient, or I'm lazy, either way. So what I did was I went ahead and finished both of the tops, and then I just did a utility stitch right on the top of the 2 quilts. You guys can see right down through here. Just a little stitch right along there to just basically base the 2 quilt tops together. And then we did 1 backing, 1 batting, and loaded them. So they're just going to be quilted both at the same time. When we pull them off the frame, I'll just cut right along there. That extra stitching will end up in the binding.
Yep.
It'll be perfect. So just a quicker way to get them done.
Excellent. Okay. So you're using Pro Stitcher edge to edge on this design.
Yep.
And so you've already stitched 1 row.
Yep.
And we've advanced the fabric. So when I am doing that, like after I advance, I always like to go to the right-hand side and do my basting. So we'll baste down this side real quick.
Yeah, Kristina's going to help me out here. We just got that first row done.
Okay.
And remember that basting is really important for keeping your quilts straight and square.
And then once the right-hand side's done, I'm going to come over to the left-hand side. And the reason I do it that way is because I usually always stitch starting on the left-hand side. So I'm already in position. That way I'm not going back and forth and back and forth. Whoop, sorry. Now, another thing that I like to do on this left-hand side is wherever my start point is where I'm going to base back up to. So I'm looking at your screen, and that's your start point right about there.
Perfect.
So it's already in position. I don't have to bring up my thread, do a tie off, anything.
Perfect.
It's just ready to go. So I am going to turn off the baste for you.
You can just hit resume and keep rolling.
Keep going.
I like it.
So some other fun little tips.
Yeah.
I know when you're doing edge to edge, you leave long tails
at the beginning.
At the beginning of the row rather than cutting. Now, when I'm doing my quilting, I do not have time to bury my threads.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So I'm just going to show you real quick what I would like to do when I get to the end of my stitching, or at the beginning, to bringing up my bobbin thread. So at the end, I'm going to bring up my bobbin thread. And then rather than leaving a tail, I am going to snip my threads right down at the base. And this is after I've done a tie-off stitch.
Right.
So that it is secure. Okay. What other fun tips do we want to share?
Oh, I think one of the ones that people always love is your swoop move.
The swoop?
The swoop.
Okay, let's do the swoop. So the swoop's going to be right down here by the foot. What I'm going to do is make sure, first of all, my thread needs to be down through the foot. So the first time that like right after I change a foot, it's not going to work. But once the thread is down through the hole of the foot, I can do a needle down, needle up, and then holding the 2 sides of the thread, I'm just going to swoop right underneath there, and that's going to catch my bobbin thread, and I'm ready to stitch.
I love that because it's much faster than having to move the machine out of the way, have it move back.
So let's test that.
start stitching.
Okay, a regular pull up, needle down, needle up, move the machine away, pull up the bobbin thread, bring the machine back.
Right.
Okay, versus, let me get that bobbin thread hidden back under there. Needle down, needle up, swoop, ready to go.
Yeah, definitely faster.
So how much of my life did I just save?
Oh,
in
at
time?
least 2 seconds. But those add
Okay.
up, especially if you're doing a quilt that has a lot of start and stops in it.
Yes, yep.
Yep.
And again, I do, you know, after I do the swoop, do my little tie-offs to secure the thread and then trim those tails.
Perfect.
So I know that you have a fondness
Yes,
for pre-wound bobbins.
I do. I always tell people I'm a lazy quilter, and I do use that word. I don't have time to wind bobbins. Are you kidding me? No. So I like to use pre-wound bobbins. I think it's a great way to save time. Plus, I don't have to change my bobbins as often either, because pre-wound bobbins hold more thread because of the way that they're wound than a bobbin that I can wind.
Okay.
So
Let's just let our viewers know real quick, what pre-rounds can they use?
any M-class pre-wound, M-class size bobbin pre-wound.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different brands that do them out there: Superior, Filtech, Magnaglide. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. There's a lot of them. As long as it's an M-class one, and really we've used everything from ones that have the cardboard on the sides with the cardboard center to plastic ones that are filled to ones that don't have anything on the sides. They just have that little core in the center.
Yeah.
All of them, as long as they're M-class, do work just fine in our machines.
And we keep the backlash spring in the bobbin case. when we do
Always.
that.
Always.
Okay. So speaking of bobbin cases,
Yeah.
another tip that I have
Is
to have, I like to have multiple bobbin cases.
Exactly.
A lot of the quilting that I do, I use different thread colors, and I always want that bobbin to match the top thread.
Right.
So rather than going back and forth retensioning the thread, or even the weight of the thread, I'll have, excuse me, I'll have one bobbin case that is tension for that particular color or weight or whatever, and then another one. So I'm able to just swoop. I like to swoop, don't I?
yes, you do.
Let's think of a different word other than swoop. I'll just put the other bobbin case in. That's so boring.
Put place carefully, pop it in, and make sure it
Insert.
clicks.
Yes, yeah. So that saves a little bit of time of not tensioning back and forth on the different bobbin cases.
Exactly. So having that extra bobbin case is really handy.
Yep. And you do have a pre-wound in that one.
I do have a pre-wound in here. Yep, this is one of the ones from Superior with the little cardboard on the sides. And they do. They just fit right in there, no problems.
Perfect.
I know you have a great tip on how to quickly change the thread on the machine.
Yeah, so when we're teaching, we make people actually re-thread it every time.
We do.
But that's just so they learn the stitch path. Once you've got the stitch path down,
The thread path.
we don't have time for that.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and snip the thread, take that one away, bring in my new thread, find the end of it, the end of the previous one, and I'm going to tie a little loop there. Nice and secure. Now I'm going to come down, and I like to actually hold the thread with one hand, and with my other hand I open this tension disc just a little bit to take some of the pressure off, and I'm just pulling that thread, and you can see that knot going through.
Yep,
And see how smoothly it went through the tension disc there.
that's great.
Now here's the fun part.
Yes.
It's always a contest to see if you can get it through the needle.
Let's see if you can do it this
Oh, I
time.
did it.
You
Did you
it.
see
did
that?
it. Yeah, you got
Woohoo!
that. You didn't even have to re-thread your needle. Talk
Oops,
about
sorry.
being efficient.
Yes, but sometimes you do have to re-thread your needle.
Sure.
And depending on the foot that you have on and the thread type and all of that stuff, sometimes the needle stops down a little bit lower. And so we want to raise it up so it makes it easier to get the thread in that needle. Also for changing the feed,
Right.
you want to raise that needle up. So to make it a little easier, we're going to go up here to our Amara screen, and you've got the on-screen hand wheel, and I'm just going to lift it up a little bit, and you can kind of see the needle coming up. And once it's in that up position, it's easier to get that threaded, and we can also change the feet. So, do you want me to change a foot?
Yeah, let's show it really quick, especially, you know, the fastest way to change the foot too is to actually lift it up a little bit. So why don't you show everybody how to do that?
Okay, so I'm just going to loosen this. And can I just say that this tool is so much easier than the little L shape?
Oh, so much easier.
Makes it a little easy. Okay, so I'm going to lift up with one post, lift up on the foot, drop it down, and it's out of the way. Taking the next one in, I like to bring it in from the back. But with this hand that's holding that foot, I'm going to push up to get it into place.
Exactly.
And then tighten it down.
Just a little faster when you use that spring-loaded. You don't have to spend as much time trying to wiggle it into place.
Yep, that lifts up and down. So, and it's tough to do with one hand, but if you're using both hands, it's pretty easy.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a tip for changing the foot, changing your thread, changing your bobbin, basting the sides. But I know that there's so many more tips out there.
Absolutely.
So I want all of our viewers to let us know what their tips are.
Yes, we'd love to hear what some of your favorite, let's go ahead and call it what it is, lazy quilter tips.
I'm going to call them time-saving, prolonging your lifespan tips.
Efficient tips for quilting. Okay, that's what we'll call it. So be sure to leave those in the comments, or if you want to, you could even do your own separate post. Be sure and use that hashtag Handi Quilter and mention that you're doing a tip for efficient quilting, time saving, or use lazy. Either way works. Be sure to stick around at the end of the videos and see if your quilt's been featured that you have posted using that hashtag Handi Quilter. And be sure to give us a like and subscribe, and have fun quilting.